Hi, third graders. Today we're going to be reading another chapter in The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, but today we're going to do something a little bit different. We've been reading this story and enjoying this story and really getting excited about this story, but now we're going to start using some of those really good reader skills that you've been developing all year long, and we're going to start practicing some of those. The skill we're going to be working on today is our visualizing skill. Now, in visualizing, it means that we're hearing things described and then we're kind of making like a movie in our mind. Remember when we've talked about for writing, when we're writing narratives, that it's really important that we're super descriptive so that someone who's reading our stories can picture what it looks like in their mind without seeing a photograph of it. So what I want you guys to do as we read this today is I want you to read this story, listen carefully, and think, what images or what pictures do you see in your mind when we're reading this story? And how does that help you understand the story even more? All right, we'll talk about it a little bit more as we go through. How does a China rabbit die? Can a China rabbit drown? Is my hat still on my head? These were the questions that Edward asked himself as he went sailing out over the blue sea. The sun was high in the sky, and from what seemed to have been a very long way away, Edward heard Ibatoulline call his name. "Edward!" she shouted. "Come back!" Come back? Of all the ridiculous things to shout, thought Edward. As he tumbled, ears over tail through the air, he managed to catch a glimpse of Ibatoulline. She was standing on the deck of the ship, holding on to the railing with one hand. In her other hand was a lamp. No, it was a ball of fire. No, Edward realized it was his gold pocket watch that Ibatoulline held in her hand. She was holding it up high, and it was reflecting the light of the sun. Ooh, third graders, this would be a great stop to pause and think about, what did Ibatoulline look like? What are you imagining? Well, I'm imagining, with all the descriptive, the way that she said, "Edward, come back, I miss you," it makes me think that maybe she's probably got a really sad look on her face. And the way they're describing that she was holding onto the railing with one hand, and in the other hand, she's holding onto his pocket watch, it makes me think that the readers or the author is trying to make us think as readers that she's like holding on to Edward. She wants him to be there, and she's kind of sad. My pocket watch, he thought. I need that. And then Ibatoulline disappeared from view, and the rabbit hit the water with such tremendous force that his hat blew off his head. That answers that question, thought Edward as he watched the hat dance away in the wind. And then he began to sink. He sank and sank and sank. He kept his eyes open to the whole time, not because he was brave, but because he had no choice. His painted-on eyes white. He sank and sank and sank. He kept his eyes open the whole time, not because he was brave, but because he had no choice. His painted-on eyes witnessed the blue water turning to green and then to blue again. They watched as it finally came back. They watched as it finally became as black as night. Ooh, third graders. In my head, I'm imagining what Edward looks like as that's happening. At the end of our story, I'm imagining what Edward looks like as he's sinking down and down and down. And the author's telling me some pieces of what that would look like, but my brain's filling in some pieces as well. I know that when something's in the water and it's sinking, it's not very fast. It sinks kind of slow. I'm also thinking about how it said, this specific line really gets me. It says, his eyes kept open the whole time, not because he was brave, but because he had no choice. And I'm kind of trying to imagine why that might be. All right, let's keep reading. Edward went down and down. He said to himself, if I'm going to drown, certainly I would have done so by now. Far above him, with far above him, the ocean liner with Ibatoulline aboard it sailed beefily on. Far above him, the ocean liner with Ibatoulline aboard it sailed on, and the China Rabbit landed finally on the ocean floor, face down, and there, with his head in the muck, he experienced his first genuine and true emotion. Edward Tulane was afraid. Ooh, third graders. That's the very first time that this character has really showed any emotion. He's usually just kind of like, meh, I don't really care what's going on. I don't really think that's very interesting. Doesn't apply to me. But all of a sudden, he has an emotion. And it's not a good one. He's feeling scared. What your assignment today is I have a tab on Canvas, a little link on the Reading Canvas page that says that I want you to click here, and you're going to click on that word here, to answer the question about Edward Tulane. Now, what I want to challenge you to do, third graders, is yes, you could describe how you imagine it, and if that's what you decide to do, that's fine. But what I want you to do, if you can figure out a way to draw a picture of one of two scenes. One, you could choose to draw a picture of Ibatoulline holding the gold pocket watch. Or you could draw a picture of Edward sinking. You can choose either one to draw a picture of. And I want you to try to figure out how to upload a picture into Canvas on that page where I say click here to answer the question about Edward Tulane. Okay, third graders, that's my challenge for you. I'm not going to show you how to do it. I want you to try to figure it out. If you really, really need some help, I'm going to tell you to try one more time on your own. And then if you really need some help, I will see what I can do to help you, okay? Again, if your family is not checking their email or Remind on a regular basis, please remind them to check it so that I can have communication with them. I am loving that I get to talk with you guys every day, and I think you're going to like Monday morning's morning meeting. There's a pretty cool question in there that I think some of you might be really excited about. So check out that Canvas page. The answers you give will change whether or not we do that activity as a class. All right, I'll see you guys later.